In this video, I'm going to be making this render right here. So I actually failed one attempt right before this. Waited a bit, tried again, got this. And yeah, so if you want to see me just make this from start to finish, this one went pretty smooth. But just know that it doesn't always go this smooth. Usually it actually ends up in me failing or me spending a long time assuming that it's going to fail. But this one was pretty smooth. Anyways, if you want to see me make this, just, yeah, this is the video. Okay, so I want to make something like this, where it's basically a room with some sort of maze or pattern or something in the middle of the floor. And then I'm going to have something like inset like this, and then, you know, some weird pattern thing here. And then maybe, I think I want the camera coming from a bit of a different angle today. Usually I have it like on the floor pointing upwards. I do that a lot. But I think today I want to have it kind of from above like this. And then kind of pointing down with a bit of a wide angle. So 24 millimeters, we'll start there. And then maybe some stairs or something over here. I'll just do some really quick stairs just as a placeholder. Just really, really fast. I'll just block this out. So literally just so I can have a placeholder. Do that. Okay. I'm using stairs. Just have that there. And then I think will probably be it. Maybe we can have some other patterns coming out this way. I don't know. With like some other, we'll figure that out later. But basically that, and then I think I need some pillars or arches or something kind of just around here. So I'll just block this out, and then I'll replace this with actual models later. But it'll be something like this, right? So some big pillars in the corner. Blah blah blah. Bring that up, right? Okay, and then I don't know, something else here, and then maybe another one this way. I don't know, right? And then our camera, of course, needs to be a bit closer in here. I think I might widen the whole thing a bit. Let's just take this, bring this out a bit, right? Let's try and do it from the cursor, maybe, to keep it centered. I think that wide will be cool. Have this here. We could make this a panoramic lens later too. I'm not sure about that yet. We'll have to figure it out, but that's the plan, right? And let's get a cube in here, which is 2 meters tall by default. If I just shrink this down this way, and then shrink it down on the z-axis to like 90%, 85, 90% of what it was by default. That right there is kind of the height of an average person-ish. So that gives me an idea of how big things are. I'm going to save this. This is actually attempt 2. Because I failed the first attempt. Okay, so how do we actually move forward here? First of all, I want this to be a still, and I accidentally just closed that window, which is super annoying because I don't know how to get the toolbar back without actually forcing this to reopen. Hang on a second. Let me just open this back up. If anyone knows of a way to fix that problem where you have the outliner here, or rather the properties panel, if you close this toolbar without letting, if I let go here, I don't know of any way to get it back without reopening the window. I don't know how to deal with that. Anyways, if anyone knows, let me know because it's super annoying. So anyways, I was saying I want this to be a still. So I'm going to go 4,000 by 5,000 for the aspect ratio. I probably won't render at 100% of that. So whatever you slide this to, it'll be scaled down by that amount. So I'll leave it on 50% right now for test renders, and then for the final one, I'll probably turn it up to 75% of the full amount there. And then let's just go into rendered view here. So I think this is going to be nice. I think I kind of like how open it is right now. That's just right what I'm seeing in the viewport here. I like how this could be lit in a bunch of different ways. It could be like sunlight in an outdoor environment. It could be inside with a spotlight. I'm not sure. There's lots of possibilities here. So let's just keep some ideas open. But yeah, the idea that I mentioned at the beginning was a maze in the middle. What I mean by that exactly is this. There's a free add-on you can get. Let me just take this and actually expand this. I'll delete that. Pull this down. I'll just extrude that downwards. There's a free add-on you can get called Mesh Maze. I think I used this. I was talking about this add-on in some other video and I just didn't bother finding it. But right before this, I just quickly remembered what this actually was. It's an add-on. You have to access it by, well, first of all, just search Mesh Maze you'll find it, Mesh Maze. It's free, I think, and you access you use it by going in here up to Mesh in edit mode on an object. So I'll use a plane. In edit mode, go to Mesh, and then Mesh Maze selection. And for some reason it's not working. I think I have to subdivide this first. So subdivide this plane. We'll do 10 cuts. And then if I go to Mesh Maze selection, then it should work if I increase the width. Okay. So what this does is it just generates maze patterns based off of your selection. And when you do it on a plane, you'll just get a flat plane created into a maze. I don't know whatever math they're doing to create that. That's kind of beyond me. But anyways, that works. Looks cool. And it gives you just a basic, nice, easy to use mesh that converts it to a maze. And you can change the seed to whatever you want before you click off it. Anyways, let me do a bevel modifier on this. We'll just apply scale, turn down the amount to like a tiny bit, just so it's a little bit beveled. And I want this to be, let's go median point. Scale that up to kind of cover this middle section. I think this will be a nice point of interest in the middle of the scene here. And then we could have some other patterns surrounding it, or some platforms or walkways or water or whatever, right? Many things could go here. I think I want this a little bit smaller, and I'll just extrude this, scale that in, bring this up. Okay, so that's gonna be nice. I should probably swap out these pillars or design some new ones. Right away, I'm thinking I should just bring in some pillars from this pack. Maybe I'll do that later. Let me get a texture on here first. Let me go into bridge. Let's search for, this is from my attempt 1, which I failed and gave up on. So I'm doing attempt 2. Anyways, let me search for some kind of like rock texture, like sandstone rock, warm kind of tone stone texture that's going to work here. I've used this one in a recent render. I think that might actually work again. So I could try that, or we could try something else. I think we should try something else, something a bit lighter. Like, let's see. I passed one up here. Let's try this one. This one was really cracked looking. Yeah, no, that's not going to work. I'm looking for something that's flat but solid but rock but light. I'm not sure if I'm going to find that. I'm sure I will. Quixel has tons of stuff. Oh, this is Quixel Bridge, by the way. This is usually what I use for most of the textures that I work with. You might not see me use this sometimes because if I have a blend file that I need to share, if I'm giving away an asset pack, for example, something like that, I can't use these textures. I'm not allowed to because it's somebody else's product, right? So sometimes I'll use like CC0 textures, or I'll use, what's it called? Polyhaven. Those are good too, but I prefer this if I'm not sharing it. It's just a bit better quality than anything else. Okay, so I need, sandstone rock kind of warm kind of texture. Let's just quickly find this. I really don't want to spend too long looking for this because it doesn't matter that much, but let's just see. One of these will probably be fine. Gosh, none of those are actually what I want. This might work. I think I just have to pick something. It doesn't matter that much. This one or this one. Okay, we got two options here. I'll just heart this one as well. Let me download this one here first, and we'll try it. And then if it doesn't work, I'll try the other one. And then one of those should work. Okay, so download, export. This is what's nice about Bridge too, is it auto organizes everything by category, so you don't worry about organization at all. And then you just hit export, and exports it. By the way, I think the new version of Bridge, it hasn't been supported with Blender that well in the last 2 or 3 years. If you want to actually have it work with Blender properly, if you just search up this Reddit thread called, God, I can't remember what it's called. I mentioned it in one of my last videos, one of my recent ones. But it's called like some problems with Quixel Bridge in Blender. If you type that into Google, you'll find a Reddit thread where somebody provides an add-on solution that actually makes the plugin work properly. Okay, anyways, let's get this material on here. Enough talking. Let's just cube project this. Let's go to the UV editor. I don't know how I feel about this texture. I think I might try the other one, but let's get some lighting in here really quick. Let's just try a sun lamp. I think it'll be nice. So let's go there. Let's go to world, take the background out. We could actually try a sky texture. That might be better. Let's do that. Add a sky texture in here. Plug that in here. Now I don't like, first of all, how it's glowing. Let me take off the compositor. I have the glare node on by default, but I don't actually want that. There's displacement on here too. I have to fix that in a second, but let's rotate it. I think I want light coming in this way. I think I want the elevation higher. I think I want the sun a bit less bright. No, I don't like this. Let's try a spotlight. I might have to build out the scene more before I really know what lighting setup is going to work, but let's try a spotlight. I think we could make it look better with this. Okay, so we'll get that there. Yeah, like this is more what I wanted. Okay, now you have to be careful with this because as you can see, the shadows are not actually moving all in the same direction. They're not parallel. The pillar shadows are not parallel. Try saying that 5 times fast. But what would happen with a sun lamp, right, is you would get parallel shadows with all of those shadows from the pillar because all the rays are moving in the exact same direction. Here they're moving from a single point, which is really close. So you can see the closer I move, the more obvious it's going to be that it's a spotlight. So you want to be careful of that if you're trying to mimic sunlight. If you're trying to mimic like an artificial light, then it doesn't matter. But if you're trying to mimic sunlight, then it's kind of an issue. So it's going to take me a little bit of trial and error to figure out what kind of lighting setup is going to work best here. So apologies if I'm just kind of messing around and not really... if it doesn't seem like I know what I'm doing at all, it's because I don't really know what I'm doing. So we're just going to try some stuff and see what might work. This texture I don't like. Let me try this other one that I was thinking about here. We'll try this one. Ooh, what's this? No. Okay, so let me export this one back in here too. And let's just see if this looks any better than this one. Because this one, it just feels too fake and rocky for no reason. So let's try this one. Yeah. So we'll just take all these things, Control L material. What the hell is all that in there? A bunch of pine needles in this one. What the hell? Okay, we can't use that one then. Let's find a different one really quick. This, maybe Icelandic rock. Let's try that. It doesn't matter that much what I use here, as long as it is just stone and doesn't have this on it. Okay, that's fine. Let's just cube project all that, scale it up. Yeah, this one will work better, I think. Okay, that's fine. So this could actually be fine. It would look like this if there was a hall, like if there was a opening to the outside, and the outside was like a cloudy day and it was actually really soft lighting, and there was a big window open. This would actually be realistic shadows, so I'm okay with doing this as long as it feels like it makes sense. That's really what's important. As long as it actually seems like it would make sense. Let's take the displacement off this texture. I don't want that. Okay, that's fine. Let's do some edgeware really quick on here. The way I like to do this is with an ambient occlusion node. If you see me do this, I'll just run through this really quick. I have a full tutorial on this as well. But anyways, lower the samples because you don't need that many. I'm going to use inside and only local. What that does inside, it basically just flips the ambient occlusion to be meant for inside a room. So instead of it going on the inside corners of the model, it'll actually go on the outside corners. So inside, depending on your perspective, if you're inside or outside the model, it doesn't matter. Anyways, click those two checkboxes and then lower the distance down to like 0.03 or something like that. And then we'll take a mix color and we'll just mix this into the color. So ambient occlusion, we'll run that into slot B. Let's take an invert node, put that on there. You can see what that's doing now is making everything else darker and then leaving the edges the color that they were before, or rather making the edges white. If you switch it to multiply, it'll just make everything what I said before this. Everything else is darker. The edges are now the color they were before. We want to kind of offset this with a color ramp so that we want to say, okay, the darkest point will be what it was before. So 1, when you multiply it in 1, you're going to get the color whatever it was before, right? If I just turn this on and off, nothing's going to happen. The brightest point on the other side, which used to be, which is white and used to be the brighter point on this spectrum, I'm going to increase that to like 5 or maybe 10. So you can actually drive this value above 1, even though it doesn't look like anything is happening. We're actually going from 1 to 10 instead of 0 to 1. And that means when you multiply that into the texture below, you're going to get everything else. The main part of the texture will stay the same. Everything above that, or everything else which is highlighted, will be increased above 1. So you can see if I move this on and off, that's what that's doing. Okay. Now there's one other thing you can do if you really want to optimize this, by adding another ambient occlusion and then subtracting the corners, which the reason you might want to do that is if you join these together, you actually get edge wear on the inside. There's a way to subtract that if you do it again, but I'm not going to deal with that right now. It doesn't matter. Anyways, maybe I'll do a video on that some other time, because that is the most optimal way to do edge wear inside of Blender, which no one has talked about before, I don't think. Anyways, I need to move forward with this environment. I don't need to get too into the details here. Let's get, we need some models. I'm just going to drop in some models from this pack here. Let's just go to, I think this will work. Scale this up. Let's maybe just put this material on it. I think that'll fit in nicely. So here's where I might want to do that subtract edge wear thing, or maybe not. Let's just do this, scale this up. Okay, good enough. This platform should be a little bit bigger, I think, like that. If we don't want to, see how when I do that, it stretches out the texture. If I want that not to happen, I can go to options and then hit correct face attributes. That's in edit mode, by the way. Now when I scale it up, it won't stretch out the texture at all. It'll just expand it. So that's good there, maybe. And then I need something. I'm not sure what, though. Isn't that a useful thing to say? Okay, let's get this. I think I kind of like how it's spaced out a little bit more here. Let's get that there. And one over here. And notice how I'm actually not being that precise with it. I don't think it matters that much in this case. You might want to be careful with that. But in like an ancient thing like this, I don't think I'm okay with it not being that precise, because it's just kind of maybe going to add to the realism if it's actually a little bit imprecise. That could just be cope for me not doing things properly and just being lazy. Okay, let's drop in some more models from here. By the way, this pack that I'm pulling from is the collab asset pack that I made with Sweeper 3D. I'll leave a link below to that if you want to use it. But let's just drop in some more stuff from here, because this will work nicely, I think. So I think bookshelves. We want bookshelves. And we got to keep in mind the scale of this place. I think I want walls here too. Let's do this. Let's add a cube in here. Scale it out this way. Make it a bit thinner there. And then just put this right here. Okay, so we got this, and boom, wall, okay? Put this texture on here, Control L material, apply scale, cube project. That's fine. And then let's just duplicate that wall, Alt D to keep it linked over here, Alt D over here. And we could even do the same like this. If I just take this, rotate 90 degrees, just fill in walls in all these empty spaces over here like that. That's fine. So we're getting somewhere. Okay. Now I got to decide, like the floor here does not seem quite right. I got to decide if I want to make that like tiled or whatever I want to do. Also, I could try this. If I want this to feel a little bit more like sunlight, move this way back. Then increase the brightness. Decrease this. maybe increase the size. Although at this point, there's kind of no, I think I might as well just use sun. In fact, maybe we should just do that. Let's just bring the sun back. Make this like 50, pretty bright. Maybe less, maybe like 25. And then let's just adjust the angle to kind of match that. And then you see what I mean? How the lines, the shadows from all these pillars are all actually in parallel now. And that's exactly what you would expect from sunlight, right? And you don't get that with a spotlight. We could make this a bit soft too. That's fine. And then I could add let me add a roof on this place because it just needs it. Let's just shrink that down there. We'll add a cube. Alt G will just reset location. Since this is centered, that'll just put it to the center of this whole thing. We can have this here. This is now going above everything, but the camera can't actually see that, so it might not be a problem. But it might be if I move the camera up, so I should probably connect this properly. I might just take all these pillars, actually all of this stuff here, everything, and we'll just SZ. Oops, I missed a wall. Okay, so we'll SZ 1.2, and that'll be fine. And now they're not lining up with the floor anymore, which is kind of an issue. So I might have to just do some manual placement here. We'll just quickly deal with this. These, since they're all linked, I can actually move it down in edit mode. That'll fix all of them. These, I kind of just have to manually fix. And basically, I just want to make sure there's no pillars that are levitating off the ground. Okay, good. I think that's okay. So let's try and get this bookshelf a little bit more in here. Okay, so it'd be nice if it's slotted right in there, but I don't know if it's going to. Especially with these piles of books. I might just go in here, grab these, Control L to like grab anything that's connected to what I just selected. Separate by selection. Just grab this and we can just move that out actually. That's fine there. And then we have another bookshelf in this pack too. Bookshelf. This I can just kind of stack on top of the first one and then fill this in nicely. And there's also some smaller ones in here too. I might use these as well. Maybe over here. Just maybe kind of force that to fit in the corner there. We could also just duplicate this, and this over here. That'll work there. Nice. And you can't see it right now, but once I get the lighting all sorted out, I think you'll be able to see that, and it will look nice. I might just fill this in. Let's pull this down to the ground. Pull that right there. Rotate it this way, and then we'll just kind of fill this in here too. I think that'll look quite nice. So let's take this. Let's take this. Move it over this way. Boom, just slot that in. And then we'll do the same thing, I guess, just over here. That's the only place you can really see it. We could actually just take this one as well. Whoops. Rotate Z 90. Whoops. Okay, slot that in there. Okay, so let's take these stairs, which I will have to recreate since I did such a bad job on the block out that's so uneven. Let's add a point light in the middle too. Let's just, maybe this will help the lighting if I increase this. Let's just add a big soft light right in the middle. Yeah, that's nice. Okay, let's make it a bit warm to match the rest of the environment. And whoops. Yeah, so I'm just using the eyedropper to match the color of the point light, which is going to be our fake bounce lighting. I did a whole video on that recently. Match the color of the fake bounce lighting point light in the middle, this big soft light, to the light that's actually reflecting naturally out of here, which is the sunlight hitting this stone here. So if I just make the light that color, that'll make it feel very natural. So I could actually make this an area light as well. Could make this an area light as well. Flip it around this way, and that might be better. but a point light actually looked kind of nice, so I'll just keep it on that. Maybe get a little bit smaller. And that actually illuminates a bit around the floor too, which looks nice, but it's not quite, that's not really realistic, but I kind of like how it looks, so I'm going to keep it. Make this just white there. So that's nice there. And this does not have to be bright, right? We're at 129 watts. If I hide this, that makes a pretty big difference on the render. Really lifts those really dark shadows, but still keeps it high contrast. If you go too extreme with this, it's just going to ruin it, right? So don't do that. Just keep it right at the point that it is still realistic, but at least at the point that looks realistic, right? Don't go beyond that, where it just ruins everything. Okay, this height meter thing, I'm going to move out to the outside just so it's in there, but don't have to deal with it. Don't have to look at it, I mean. So I'm not quite sure what to do with this. We could have, I think some walkways would be nice here. Let's try that. Let's add a cube in the middle. Scale this down this way. We'll just have this coming off of the staircase. And then we'll just kind of pull it towards here. I think that'll be nice. And then maybe some sort of, I don't know, some sort of pattern with this where it rotates this way or something like that. I don't know. I think that might be nice. We'll put this material on here, link material. And let's get some volume in here as well. So cube over everything, display as bounds, new texture, delete this, add a volume scatter. Sorry, I'm going really fast. 0.01 on the density. And let's increase the anisotropy a little bit as well. Now you'll notice something. The point light we added earlier is affecting the volume, right? If I turn that way up, that's glowing really bright because it's affecting the volume where it probably shouldn't be, right? So the easiest way to deal with that is on your fake bounce lighting like this, just go into the orange square tab, go into visibility, and then underneath the ray visibility, just turn off volume scatter entirely. So that point light, no matter how bright I turn it up, is not going to affect the volume. It's not even going to interact with it at all. So that's really nice. Okay, so that leaves the sun. That means the sun will interact with the volume. Everything else will not, or not everything else. Everything else I'd turn off will not. So let's just leave that there. Now I've got to decide exactly how I want this to come in, but we can figure this out as we go. It's already looking good enough to where I'm happy with the direction it's going. So the rest of the details, there's not that much else that has to be done here, right? We've got to add some detail on the floor. So that should be easy. Because it already looks fine. It's just plain. It just needs more detail. Filling in detail on something that already looks good is not a hard task. And then the rest of this scene, like look at how much space is in the frame. There's not much we have to do, right? Up here it's blank. Over here it's blank. It should be pretty easy to fill that in with something. It doesn't really matter what. It could be anything. And as long as I can figure out those three problems, and maybe get like something a bit more interesting going on in the middle. So a person in here, maybe, if it needs it. We're looking pretty good, right? We've already got decent lighting, good sense of scale with the books, and the stairs, I'll deal with that in a second. Nice atmosphere. Camera angles there, at least mostly there. So I think I'm looking good on this render. So I'm going to keep going and just try and stay focused as much as I can and just crank this out as quickly as possible. This is the hardest part done, which is really nice. What happened on the last attempt is I never got to this point where it was looking good at all. And that's when it's very hard and you just have to take a break and come back and try again. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to slow down a little bit and just kind of calm down a bit. But yeah. Let's take some more of these pillars, maybe move this out this way. We could take the mirror off of the y-axis. Yeah. Take that off. And then we can kind of just do whatever to make this work over here, to be honest. Maybe let's just start adding some meshes and just kind of move this stuff around and just see what might look good to fill in this area. I think it makes sense to have a cube right here. It just kind of feels right. Link material, apply scale, just cube project that. Let's mirror this on these stairs. I should redo the stairs actually. Let's just do that really quick. There's some stairs in here too. Just grab that. These are the ones that Sweeper made, so I'll just use these. Let's just double this up and then move it back, and let's just put that material on it. Looks, I think it'll work better with its default material. I think that's better. Let's move this up a little bit, and then we can mirror this on this. There we go. And maybe just thin that out a little. Feels a bit more natural like that. And then maybe, I'm just kind of winging this as I go. Let's just have like a thing that comes out like that, right? Okay. And then we'll just cube project this. And we need something coming off of the stairs. Let's just put the cursor here, add another cube, scale that out this way. I just need a floor, basically. We'll just kind of have that coming in like that, right? Extend this out. I don't know, however far back I want to go. We'll just hit link material on there. Apply scale, cube project. Maybe put this material on it. Whoops. Link material. Yeah, that works. And then this could either be like, we could do some whole outside thing there with like, I don't know what else I'd want to put. Maybe more stairs. Like that might be nice. And then we could have another wall or bookshelf wall or something over here. I'm just trying stuff. This might not work. But again, it doesn't really matter what I put out here at this point because the hard part's done, which is very, very nice. Let's take this and just move it out this way. Might pull it out that way. And then take these. I'm kind of going for like an ancient library or sacred kind of place, that sort of vibe. So basically just picking models which fit that, which is, to be honest, most of these. There's a railing in here somewhere. I'm going to take that and just put it right there. That looks like it should fit in right there. It's actually kind of nice. Okay, and we're making progress. Maybe let's just do another row of these back here. Nothing wrong with duplicating. If it looks good, I always say like keep duplicating it until it starts to look not as good and then stop. But repetition is not a bad thing. Let's take this and maybe do that again over here. That kind of works, you know. I could maybe add a little bit more styling or some other thing on here to make this a little bit less repetitive, but let's throw a bench in here. This one might be a little bit too thin. Maybe let's try this one. Oops. This is a bench that Sweeper made as well. The way this worked is we kind of both just made 50% of the assets and then put them together into the pack. But he did take some of my models and then model more stuff based off of those models and stuff like that. And okay, we're missing a floor over here. Let's just deal with this by adding a loop cut right there. And then we could just take these, extrude, right click to cancel the transform, scale it out that way. That works. Okay, so one of the things I like about this pack a lot is that there's so many little things that we can just use to put around on the floors, like random pots, random papers, like little wall lamp things. Let's just get this on here. Right, like random little trinkets that are just going to work really nicely to fill out this entire environment. So I'm going to just start putting stuff around that I think is going to work. And we can do one of these over here. Just kind of slam it into the wall right there. And then let's take, there's a bunch of little things that will fit on the floor. Like, let's just see what else might work here. A bunch of books and chairs. I think that'll fit in really nicely here, actually. Let's do one of these chairs here. Maybe we put that up here. That's not really fitting there. Let's just put it over here. Let's just scale it up this way so it goes right there. Okay, these pots I don't want them right in the shadow there. I want them like somewhere like over here, and then maybe let's do some more pots down here. Okay, let's find some more objects to throw in here. There's these pedestal things that could work. I don't really feel like those right now. I think more books would be good. So let's just do some. Oh, there's all these piles of books here. This could work nicely, actually. I think down here it'll make more sense. So we'll just have that there. It's fine if it's half going through the wall, as long as you can't really see the exact point that it goes in there. That's fine. Let's do some more bookshelves like this. Rotate 180 degrees. Yeah, that works really nicely there. And then maybe another book pile over here. Basically just trying to fill this in as much as possible. I'm fine with it if it looks really messy. That's kind of cool, so I'm fine with that. There's some boxes here too. Let's throw those in. This hallway is a bit tricky here. I'm not exactly sure what I should be doing with this. One thing that could work to fill in this blank spot right here. First of all, these papers need to come up a little bit like that. One thing that could work to fill in that spot is if you just use like a tree. Let's go to botanic, and let's just spawn in a tree here. And I just want to use the leaves of this tree as kind of a big shadow thing over here. If this doesn't work, then that looks kind of cool. And that actually hides a lot of the... Okay, so I think it's a bit too dark, but it's the right direction. So I'm going to hide that for a second. Or let's just put the cursor here, then hide it. Let's add a plane. So I'm going to rotate it this way. And also I forgot to extend the volume over here. Let's make sure that goes all the way over there. This plane, I want to block this section over here. I want to make a new texture. And then I want to use noise, which is just running into the alpha. You've probably heard of light gobos, which is basically just using, I don't know the exact definition, but as far as I understand it, it's just using like a complex or intricate shadow, or like a complex or intricate object as a thing that casts shadows. I'll just show you right here what I mean. So noise into the alpha, color ramp in there. Just increase the contrast of that noise, increase the scale, and I'll just show you exactly what this is. It's like this kind of thing, just a complex shape, which is going to cast a bunch of shadows. I'll just make the scale a little bit lower, maybe a little bit higher. And the sunlight might be a little bit too soft for you to see what it's doing. So let's take the sun lamp, make the light a little bit less soft, and the less soft I go, the more that thing is going to show up. I don't want it to be that intense, so let's just it's not quite doing what I want, so I might just hide that. Maybe let's bring the tree back. And honestly, maybe I think the tree will work. We just need a lighter one that's a bit less thick. So this. And I just want to position that right where I'm going to get some nice shadows and kind of subtract a bit of attention from this area. I don't really like how it's super bright over in the corner. So I just want to decrease the amount of attention that drifts to the corner when you look at it. So try and just darken that area a little bit. That's one way to do it. I'm not sure if I like that or not, but it feels very desert-y here. So it might not make sense to have a tree shadow because then it's kind of not really following the desert vibe anymore. But it could be fine. It could look cool. Especially if we have some leaves and stuff visible in here. Like I'm not sure if that's going to work, but I'll try it. Okay, I'm not sure. The next thing we've got to figure out is this section over here. Let's just move that out of the way. I could also, okay, let me just try one thing really quick. Let's add another point light in here. Decrease the strength way down, but just enough to where it's lighting up this area with a little bit of ambient light. Just a little bit, just to make that feel a little nicer in there. And I need to make sure volume scatter's off there. I'm gonna take this down even more. I'm gonna also desaturate it and take the brightness down. So really, really low brightness, 16 watts. You can't even really see what it's doing, but I think it'll show up nicely if I zoom way in here. Just lifting those shadows a tiny bit in there. Not necessary at all, but it doesn't hurt. Okay, let's try this. What if I just take this whole thing and move it this way? And then we just take this. And we'll just go to cursor, put the cursor back in the middle, Alt-D, rotate 90. Okay, that kind of starts to help the problem. So that's good. I think this did not need to be Alt-D. I need to unlink it. So let's just go Object. I guess it doesn't matter. We can just... Oh, hang on. Just undo that, whatever I just did. This needs to be mirroring the stair here. There we go. Okay, that fixes that. Okay, we need some sort of thing visible out there. I'm not sure exactly what should go there. There's a bunch of stuff we can just throw in here, though. So, I don't know. This big wall of stained glass. Let's try it. Ooh, that looks really cool. Okay, that's cool. I don't mind that. We could also just try this on the other side here as well. I don't know if you're going to see that even. So, no. Can't see it, so I'm not going to put it in there. And I think we need some more interesting shadows over here. So, either just throw a tree in or kind of works there. Okay, I don't mind that. Let's do a quick test render to see where we're at. Just to take a closer look at all the work we've done here. So it's going well. I've got to decide if I want to add... It might be nice to have water in the middle as like a fountain or something like that. Like just kind of below this step right there. Just give it a sec. Yeah, below the step there. I think it might be cool to have water below that level and then have the maze poking out above that. That could work. I like the lighting right now, so that's good. And I think once I add clarity and stuff too, that'll really, really help this. This feels a little bit strange over here, the colors. Not super sure what's happening there. It might just be this texture that I need to change out. So I'm going to try that and just make that a little bit more... I don't know, the color's just kind of weird right now, so I'll try and match that to the rest of the environment a bit more. And then I think I just need some more like trinkets and random objects around here, and then I think we're going to be good. I'm happy with this so far. Let's go back to rendered view. And yeah, let's just start dropping in more random trinkets and stuff. So we've got a table here. What else have we got? There's like a random post I can put in here. This can have this material on it. We'll just link material. Right, that could be like, I don't know, right there. Not sure if I like that or not there. But this table, I think I want... I think it should be over here, probably. Like right around here. Let's go to median point. Might not need more than one. We have a bunch of individual books here too that could be used to just kind of fill this out a bit more. Okay, let's try adding water in here. So let's just go, let's add a cube, scale that up to like there. It's just gonna be like that. We'll add a new texture, transmission up, roughness down, take a light path node, run the is camera ray into the alpha, and then we need a bump node and we could do actually a Musgrave texture or a noise texture. Run that into the height of the bump. Output of the bump goes into the normal input of the principled. And it's hard to see from this angle. I'll just go here so you can see exactly what we've done so far. That adds ripples, right? If I just increase the scale on that, you can see what that's doing. Okay, so let's just decrease the strength of that. And maybe let's make the color a little bit more... I guess one other thing we could do is if you make it a bit metallic, that can just increase the reflectivity of it. So I might do that a little bit just because I want to make it very clear that this is water. Just from looking at it from the top down, sometimes you don't get that much of a reflection. So just a little bit of metallic can help you get that. And then we can also take a volume scatter, run that into, let's actually take a principled volume rather. Principled volume, run that into the material output here. And this can be whatever color, right? This could be blue or green or whatever. I might just leave it on white and then take actually a volume absorption, mix that together. Let's make the absorption color like pretty blue. I'll just increase the density a little bit. I think I'm going to swap out the Musgrave texture for a noise texture. Run that into the height. This maze in the middle, I think we need to re-unwrap because it's all stretched out there. So we'll just cube project that. And then this might be a good opportunity to use the caustics trick from my last video. So we could try that. Another way to do it that I didn't show in there, which is a method I've used before, which I haven't really talked about either. I'll just show you really quick. If you just take a plane here, just put that over the surface of the water, roughly over the surface. Create a new texture on here, new material. We're actually going to take this out and let's take a transparent, run that to the output. So it's doing nothing now. If I make the value something above 1, so like 2, anything passing through the transparent will actually get brighter. So now anything under the transparent is becoming brighter. Any light that passes through that becomes brighter. So if I take we'll just do a noise texture. And we'll run that into, I guess, the color here, but it probably makes more sense to actually use a color ramp. And then we'll set the brightest point to like 5 above 1, and the lowest point to 1. Maybe this should be like 2 here, and then this one should actually be a little bit lower. And I might just have to restrict this to the area where there's actually sunlight. Let's hit Control T on here. We'll just go to object coordinates, apply scale on this object. Let's add some distortion in the noise. It might actually make sense to use an image of caustics here as well. Let's just do that. I think we've got one in here somewhere too. I was just looking at it somewhere. Sorry, give me a second to find this. Okay, here it is. Just this. I'm just going to throw that on to this material here. So I'll run that into the color ramp here. And that actually kind of works. We're getting a doubling up effect, it looks like. Not sure what's happening there. I think maybe this is... Let me just make sure this is right below the surface of the water. I'm not sure why that's doubled up. That's very strange. Let me also apply scale and cube project this to re-unwrap it. We'll just rotate it 90 degrees on this UV editor. So that's actually more realistic if you make it darker where there's no caustics and then keep it brighter where there are some. So I'll try and blend that there. You might get a bit of an edge there, but I'll be able to remove that later, I think. And then let's just, I think I'm going to swap out this image of caustics. It's not quite the right image. I'm just going to find one in, there's a Midjourney. Yeah, I have a folder. This is a real image. These are all AI, these ones. And then this one's real. I'll try the real one first. And then if that doesn't work, I'll just use the Midjourney ones based off the real one. And whoops, that was not... Whoops, I don't even know what I just did there. This is what I was trying to do. This here. Okay. Open. Let's find that one. Drop it in. Open that. Yeah, that's better. So I don't think I need it that dark. Even though it's technically probably more realistic to do that. I like to just maybe not have it that intense. And we'll just cube project that as well. Wonder what happens if I do this. If I just take a curves and just do that. That's not good. Okay, we'll run it through there. Okay, that's pretty good. I don't mind that. If I want to make this a bit more obvious, I can do that too. And I could, I guess, stretch it out on either axis as well. If I want to make it a little bit more wavy looking. And then I think on this here, I'm just going to rotate this so it's not... Yeah, okay. That's fine. One thing I don't like is these are bothering me. Let's take those off. This here is also bothering me. Let's just lower that down. This could even be completely separate, so we could just do this and just move it like there. And then just pull this down. I don't mind that. And then we could have actually 4 of those around here. So let's just go to 3D cursor, Alt D, RZ90. Sorry, the cursor is right there. And then maybe if we want to just spread that out a little bit, maybe go individual origins, just pull that down. I think the origin is not in the right spot. We'll just reset it. If I go to median point and then I just enable affect only locations, that's how you kind of space this out a little bit like that. And we can actually control LP to copy modifiers, which is just a bevel. Let's apply scale on that. I think we're moving in the right direction. I don't think this needs much else. The water's not quite there. I think it's a bit, first of all, this is a bit too much. This is a bit too much. I'm going to make this maybe a little bit blue, but doesn't even need it. Just decrease the density as well. Maybe let's desaturate that actually entirely. We could just make the surface a bit blue, but again, I think I'll just leave it desaturated. We could just get rid of the water too. I don't know if it needs it at all. I don't know. Let's just move it to a collection. Call it water. And then I might come back to that. We'll just hide it for now. Sorry, this is supposed to go in there too. Water. Let's just hide it. I'll come back to it if I really want to put it back, but I don't think it needs to be there. I might just put someone sitting down here too, or something like that. I have a model of me. Yeah, I have a model of like a really bad photo scan of myself sitting down. I'm just going to throw that in here too. Let's just delete all that right there. So that could either be there, could either be, it actually kind of works here. Yeah. And then the water might actually be kind of nice. I don't really like how this thing is making it so much darker around here. Let's just see what this does if I take that up. Yeah, that feels a bit more natural like that. And then I don't... Let's maybe take the noise scale down a little bit too. And I kind of like that. I think that's good. And that way we're kind of following the rule of thirds a little bit. If I rotate the camera, we can maybe get that following a little bit closer. It's actually kind of nice. If I switch on, what is it called? Viewport display, composition guides, thirds. You can see we're pretty much almost lining up there. If it's not quite perfect, I don't think you should force it just to be right on there. Although it might look a bit better if it is in this case. But if it looks better without it, then don't force it. I think it should be, this square should be centered though. So that's why I'm going to move that over a little bit. And maybe let's just pull that down a bit more. We can also try the panoramic lens, which might be nice here. Let's go to fisheye lens polynomial. Oops. And then let's go K1. I can bring this back. That's kind of like the focal length or the zoom. And then K2, I can adjust the amount of distortion. Let's just try and get this a little bit more straightened out. And then I'll pull it back a little bit. Just a little bit of distortion there would be good. Let's take this wall right here. Let's take all this. And we'll just duplicate that actually from the cursor. Rotate it 180 degrees. And that should actually slot in right there. So now right in the immediate foreground, we're getting kind of some detail there. It's nice. I think this maze should... Maybe the water should just be... Let's just see what happens if I do this. Let's just inset that. Delete those. And then bridge these. And we can just scale that in there. As long as I think there's no opening on this maze. Which is true. So, okay, so that means the water technically wouldn't be getting in here, so that's fine. That's kind of cool, making it go much deeper as well. It's kind of interesting. And then on this caustic plane here, I'm going to do the same thing. Just subtract, or rather cut out this middle section. Doesn't need any fake caustics there because there's no water there. That's kind of nice. I kind of like that, actually. There's this whole pack of statues which comes with the new course. I think it might be nice to throw some of these in here. So I'm going to try that out. And to match the color, I'm just going to take a mix RGB node. Sorry, I keep calling it that. A mix color node. They changed the name, so that's why I keep messing it up. On slot B, I'll just click that. Click the eyedropper. And then just eyedrop some warm tone over here. And that will just let me multiply in the exact right color that makes this fit into the environment perfectly. So that's nice there. I'll just make the brightness up on full, close to it. And then we could just kind of slot a few of these in here. Could either do the same one or different ones, doesn't matter. As long as there's something going on there. And then I'll take this, move that out this way. And then I can throw as many of these out as I want in here. Like there's all sorts of different ones in here. Maybe I could do like, oh, I was going to change this material too. Let me do that really quick. Let's take hue saturation and we'll just drop that in there. Maybe just desaturate it a little bit. I think that works. And we could also try a different camera angle too. Like I could drop this down and like, I don't mind that. Kind of having it more jammed in the corner like this. But I kind of liked it before more. I'm going to drop it back there. Maybe let's just zoom it in a little bit. Or rather decrease the distortion. Maybe I think it should be better. I think it should stay on perspective rather. And then let's just kind of... Yeah, that's good. And that's actually quite a nice composition. We're using the rule of thirds, which it's not a necessary thing to do. But if there's something that's really close to lining up, you might as well just line it up there and kind of make that fit in there. I think it works nicely there. Not in all cases, but in this case, I think it looks good. I might just drop in some other like thing from the sweeper pack, the one that we made together. Okay, I feel like it needs something up there. Maybe just some more papers, loose papers. Just Alt D, put that over here. Can you even see that? Yeah, you can see it, but it's not adding that much depth or anything. It's just kind of making the floor look a bit more interesting. Let's put some pots over here, maybe. I don't know. Open books. Benches. Yeah, that works. And then maybe a book pile as well. I'm just going to have that over there. Okay, I think we're done. I think I might render this. One thing that might be nice to do, first of all, let's put the volume over here. Just expand that over the whole thing. One thing that might be nice to do is maybe make the sunlight a little bit warmer. Not extreme, but just drag it that way just a tiny bit. I'll desaturate it a little bit from there even. Might be nice. If I turn up the volume bounces, that might actually be good too. Looks kind of nice in this case. It's maybe a bit too thick now, so I'll just decrease that a bit. So instead of 0.01, I'll do 0.007 or something. And then we can also, let's go to color management and let's just look at what these other options look like. If I keep it on base and then scroll up or down to medium or high, I think I'll keep it on base contrast, but I might just increase the exposure a little bit, up 0.5. And I think the volume is still a little bit too thick. I might just either increase the anisotropy or maybe just decrease the density overall to 0.005. Maybe increase the anisotropy, maybe just drop this down a little bit as well there. Let's maybe pull these that way a little bit. Okay, I think I'm nitpicking a little bit, so let's just let's get this rendered. Yeah, okay. So 4,000 by 5,000, we'll go 75%. And then I'll just do like, there's basically almost no noise in the whole scene, so I'll just do like, I don't know, 250 samples, maybe 300 since it's a still, I can go a bit higher. This is like, depending on the scene, the number of samples is going to change a lot. So in this case, 100 samples would actually be fine, but I'll do 300 just to make sure we're okay. On a scene that's more noisy, you might have to go up to 500, 800, 1,000, something like that, just to get a clean result. But it really depends a lot on the kind of materials and the kind of lighting that you're using, and just like how much stuff is in the scene and how many different things the light has to go through to like if you have a tree and the light goes through the leaves of the tree and you're in a forest and there's a million trees, then you're going to need a lot more samples, stuff like that. But in this case, it's all really rough materials. And that's kind of what this whole pack was based around, is being able to run easily in animations. So all the materials are really meant for, like, they're all pretty high roughness. And that's what reduces the noise the most. Anyways, I'm rendering on a RTX 4090, so that's why this is super, super fast. So unless you have a crazy graphics card like that, it'll be slower for you, but that's okay. Just wait a bit longer. I used to wait like an hour sometimes for my still images to render. That's a bit extreme. I don't think you need to wait that long. I think there's ways to optimize it, even on terrible graphics cards that won't take an hour to render one image. But yeah, you don't need a crazy GPU for stills. Definitely not. Although it does help. If you can get this and you can afford it, I would highly recommend it. But if not, don't worry. So, wow, that's actually done. I was just talking the whole time. Okay, so let's take this. I don't think there's anything else I need to do here. There's things I could change. Like I could make the floor a bit more intricate here and do some other things, but I'm happy with this. I'm going to just hit image, save as, and we'll just call this render June 18, 2024. Boom, boom, boom. Save that. And I'll just quickly run it through Photoshop in a second too. Okay, so I'm going to take the image that I just saved from Blender, the PNG that it rendered. I'm going to take that, just drop it straight into Photoshop. And then my background is set to white. Let me close this. My background's set to white. You can just toggle between the different ones here. I like white because it just, I'm kind of used to it from when Instagram was only a white background, so I'd optimize it for that, which is kind of crazy. But anyways, I like looking at it on different colors now just because it gives you a different perception of how bright things actually are. So I'll start on gray and we'll just kind of work from there. Okay, so first things first, let's go dodging and burning. So I'm going to get a curves not node, what is this called? Curves adjustment layer. So hit the adjustment layers, curves, get that in there. Let's invert the mask so it's not active until I brush it in. And then we'll just take a really soft brush, right? Really soft brush. And we'll just kind of go into any areas that might need it. So I don't think any areas really need this, to be honest. Like, I don't think this even needs to be in here. What might need to be in here, though, is the opposite. So some burning. So making some areas a little bit darker. Let me take the flow down to like 20%. So like around here, it doesn't need to be so bright. Around here, this is not the focal point. So I don't want too much attention to go towards there. Attention meaning, like, as a viewer, when someone looks at the picture, where's the place that they naturally look at first and the most? So I want to minimize the areas that are not the focal point and maximize the area that is the focal point. And you can do that by just making other areas that aren't as important a little bit darker and keeping the main area either really bright or really high contrast. If you do that, then you'll automatically, it's kind of like a magnet that attracts people's eye towards that point, and it's very pleasing when you have that effect. So the opposite of that is if you don't know where to look at all, because everything is either just a kind of blend of nothing, like there's no interesting thing to look at in the picture, or there's too many interesting things to look at to where it's just too jarring. So you want to find a balance between those two extremes, and that's how you get a pleasing composition most of the time. Okay, so anyways, let's go. I'm going to drop in some dust particles, I think. So I have this pack in my photos, and then useful, and then, no, sorry, it's not in here. Particles pack, this one. So I'll just drop one of these in. And let's just switch this over to screen. You can find these on any like stock photo or whatever website, like just search free dust particles. I'm sure you'll find some. Let's just take a brush and just kind of do this. The way I made this, by the way, was in Blender, you just add like an icosphere or something that's white and translucent, add a particle system, add like some wind and turbulence force fields, just have a black background and then light it up with a sunlight or something, and then just do a bunch of renders of that, save the images, and then you can overlay them really easily onto your pictures. It's kind of a nice way to just add more detail without actually seeing any more detail, because it just kind of adds, it's kind of like adding noise or something like that, where it's filling in gaps where it's kind of looks a little too rendery, and just add something that feels a bit more natural. So I'll throw that in there. And I think let's just duplicate all layers. So duplicate this, right click, merge, and then we want to go to filter, convert for smart filters, and then go into the camera raw filter. When you convert for smart filters first, it just means you can go back and edit this later. Okay, so first thing, maybe a bit of exposure, although I don't know if it needs it. In fact, it might not need exposure at all. Might just need to increase in shadows a little bit. Maybe let's go into the clarity section. Let's increase the clarity up to like plus 30. And then the texture, let's do like plus, I don't know, 13. And already it's looking very, very crisp. I think the dust particles I added were a bit too much, so I'll go back and lower that a bit too. Let's decrease that a little bit. It's a bit too strong. Exposure can come up a little bit. We're not even hitting the end of the range here, so I can bring that up a little bit. But it just depends how bright I want this to appear. Whites, I'll just use that to just bring this all the way to the end of the spectrum to where it starts becoming too much, and then I'll dial it back. And then let's look at the blacks. We'll just take that down until I think it's already reaching that opposite end of the spectrum, so I'll leave it where it is. And that's kind of how I like to treat it. I like to just have it so that the black section is just approaching it, where the darkest areas are just touching that point right there, but not too extreme to where everything's like there's patches of black. I don't like patches of black usually, but that's kind of just the style that I'm in right now. Okay, so vibrance and saturation. Maybe let's do a bit of vibrance and a bit of saturation, not too much. It might be nice to do some split toning as well, so we'll just go to the color grading. Let's go to the shadows and let's add in like some cool kind of color, I think. Some like bluish, greenish type of color. And then just find the hue by keeping the saturation high, move it around until you find like the right color, and then desaturate it because it's going to be too much, and then just bring it in until it's just becoming too much, dial it back a little bit. That's where you want to keep it. So in this case, not very high at all, just on like 6 or whatever. In the midtones, we could add something a bit warm. Might look nice to kind of do like a teal orange split. Not very much. I don't really want that to be visible that much at all, so I'll just leave it right there. Sharpening, let's crank that a bit. I kind of have a habit of over sharpening my images, but I kind of like the look, so I'm fine with doing that. And then grain, where's grain? In effects. Grain, let's turn that up to like 30, 20 or 30. Yeah, that's fine there. You probably won't see it on the video, but it's in there. Whoops. I don't know what I just did. Let's go to the color mixer. Let's go to the hue tab. I feel like the yellows are a bit too green. So let's just drag this a little bit to the left. That'll just make it a little bit less green. And let's just see here. Same thing with this, oranges. I'm just going to drag that a little bit to the left. And then we could also saturate that a little bit more if I want. I think the yellows I don't need to be as saturated. I'll just ramp up the oranges a little bit though. Okay. And then in the color calibration, sometimes it's nice to mess with this, but sometimes it just kind of makes it look crazy. So I don't think I'm going to touch that today. Contrast, I don't think it needs any more contrast. We rendered this in with AGX, so AGX already adds a lot of contrast, so I don't think I need to increase that at all. I'll just hit OK there. I think we're looking pretty good. I might just add like a curves on top of this, and then maybe just kind of do a little bit of a cheeky S curve. And then maybe just bring that back a little bit. And that just kind of fades the bottom a little bit, makes it kind of adds like a filtery kind of look on top, which I like a little bit. I think it's a bit too much here. I'll decrease the opacity of that. There we go. I think we're done. I think we are good. I'm going to take a break. I'll come back and reassess this. And then, oh, I forgot to do this. Let me just decrease the strength of the particles. I'll just put that on 50% of what it was before. Filter, convert for smart filters. Drag the camera raw filter from the old one to the new one with the particles turned down. That was too much. Let's bring that back a little bit more. Let's just increase it to right there. Okay, filter, convert for smart filters, drag, oh my god, I can't talk. Drag the camera raw filter from this one to this one. And it's fine. I don't think it's that different, but whatever. Good enough. I think we're done. So that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. And by the way, if you want a structured step-by-step program that teaches you a bit more in-depth in a more structured way how to make environments like this, I just dropped a new fantasy environments course, which comes with all the models, or almost all the models that you see actually in this render. So when you saw me dragging and dropping stuff from the sweeper collab asset pack, when you saw me dragging the statues, bookshelves, pillars, all that stuff, that's all included in there. And yeah, basically it's just a full course on creating fantasy environments. So if you want to check that out, I'll leave a link below. Other than that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.